Okay, great. So what I'll do now is I'll just kind of walk you guys through how the system works. Um, okay, so basically what you're seeing here is this is really the landing page, the portal that each school, each Upswing partner has their own portal page. So for example, with Smarter College, this is theirs. And one of the really important things for us really starting off is around the single sign-on integration, and there's a couple different options for integration with Upswing. I'll walk you guys through a couple of them. So one of them is okay. So there's a couple ways that in which we can integrate with your school system. There are two ways through single sign-on integration. One is through a process called SAML, and the other is through a process called LDAP, and through the school's system. One of the really cool things about this too is that if they're already logged in, then their browser will know it and they'll automatically be able to log into Upswing. So typically the way that that works is we'll connect with your tech team about a week or so before, or a couple weeks before we want to roll things out, make sure that we have all the technical information that we need to make this integration happen. And then we'll work with them for a couple of days, make sure everything's set up, and then be ready to go after that. So that's kind of option one is this SAML integration. Option two is what's called LDAP integration. So in this example, Durham Tech uses LDAP integration, and so their students and faculty will be logging in using their web advisor credentials. The login's on the Upswing page, but all of the credentials are again managed by your school, managed in your Active Directory, in this case web advisor. So again, the student doesn't have to remember another username password. They're simply logging in with their web advisor credentials. And then the third option is what we call basic or flat file integration, but that's basically if let's say you want to try to get something up and running pretty quickly, or if let's say your tech staff is overwhelmed, then you can simply upload an Excel file with all the different student credentials, so their emails, their first name, last name, their user IDs, and we're able to create accounts for each of them individually. So this is what we call a flat file integration. Student would log in with email address and password, but because we would then be managing those accounts, then if they forgot their password, they'd have to come to reset it. It's not quite as streamlined as some of the other integration options, but it is something that we do offer. Okay, so now what I'll do is log in using a test account here. Okay, so once I'm logged in, first the student will see this home page. Again, it's specifically branded for each school. Also, the system will do a check on time zone so that if a student is traveling or if their computer time zone is out of sync, the system will automatically know it and prompt them to use their current time zone. So you can see here, looks like someone last logged in to this account on a different time zone. Our system knows it so that whenever the scheduling happens, all the times are correct. The first thing that you'll notice here is that the student has the ability to go and search. So if they want to, they can search for a subject, or they can search for a specific coach, or they could even search for their class directly, so like Math 101 or Writing English 101. So that's one of the options. The other option is the check-in and check-out of the Learning Center. So again, this is if the student is actually in the Learning Center. If you guys want to use the check-in, check-out functionality, all the student has to do is come in here, check in when they enter the center, check out when they leave the center, and then you're able to see all the data on the back end. The next thing that the student will be able to do is go to their profile. And while they're in their profile, they're able to see a couple pretty interesting things. So one is the upcoming sessions. So they're able to see all of the sessions that they've scheduled with different tutors, information about that session, so what subject it's in, where it will occur, so will it occur online or will it occur physically in your learning center, what's the duration of that session, and then they're also able to do things like upload files beforehand, so that the tutor can get those files before the session actually begins. Additionally, they're able to go in and actually send a message to their tutor. So they can go in, see messages, see previous messages from their tutor, reply to those messages, basically all in one system. Okay, so someone asked a question around whether or not check-in, check-out feature is for face-to-face sessions or online. So the check-in, check-out Checkout feature is essentially for monitoring students that come into your learning center. So if they're coming to the learning center, you want to track the amount of time they spend there. That's how colleges are using the check-in and check-out feature. I'll show you now how students are actually using the system to schedule sessions with tutors. So let's say, again, this is just our demo account. So let me schedule for math. If this was an actual school, you'd be able to see different things like Math 101, different school tutors, etc. So you'll notice a couple pretty cool things here. First off, you'll notice that there are different tutors that are actually online right now. So if I wanted to go in and jump on an immediate session with this tutor, I could. All I'd have to do is click on the Get Tutor Now button. Once I do that, it puts up this prompt to say, okay, what's the session you want tutoring in? What's the duration of the session? And then once they submit that, they will jump immediately into a session with that tutor. Additionally, if I only want to schedule a session, so let's say that I know that I need help sometime later today. So let's say I know that I need help at 2 p.m. I could come in here, see where the tutor is already booked with another student, and then go ahead and place a session request for 2 p.m. So let's say in this example, I wanted to meet with this tutor for college algebra. I picked the right date. Today's the 28th, 2 p.m. I have the option of uploading files if I want to. If not, I can just submit it. My session's been now requested. And so then when I return to my profile screen, I can see all the different sessions that I've requested. Additionally, you'll notice here that there's a bit of different branding for some of the tutors. So in this example, this college is using both their own tutors as well as some of the Upswing tutors for to connect with. So the main difference is that, first off, all of your school tutors will automatically rise to the top of the search results. But then also, you'll notice that there will be some branding specifically for your tutors. In this example, it's a Learning Center coach, so this is the branding this school has. Other colleges, for example, Durham Tech would have something like Durham Tech coach, Durham Tech tutor, etc. And then all of the Upswing tutors beneath, you can see as well, students are able to see the ratings of these tutors. So after every session, all of our tutors are rated by students. And then also if they wanted to go in and let's see more information about this student, they're able to do that. They're able to see the student's availability, where they went to college, different subjects that tutor teaches in, etc. And they're also able to go ahead and schedule a session from here if they want to. So as a student, I'd go back to my profile. I can now see the different sessions that are there. So in this example, this was the 2 o'clock math session that I scheduled. You can see that it hasn't been accepted yet by the tutor. Once it is accepted, it'll look like this one where it has the green go to room button, and it will also have the status of approved there as well. So that's basically how you know as a student that the session's been approved. You'll see this on your profile, and you will also receive an email notifying you that your session has been approved for this date and time with this tutor. Go ahead and jump into the session here. Okay, what I'll do next is show you guys what one of the actual session rooms looks like. So what I can do is actually go in and log into this account. So once I'm in the room, you'll notice a couple things. First off, it'll prompt me for my audio and video. So that's me on the video. Don't mind the hat. But if there was a tutor on the other side, you would also be able to see the all the tutors' video on this gray area right here. So that's one thing that's really cool, is that all these areas are flexible in that as a student or as a tutor, I can automatically elect to turn on and turn off both the audio and the video broadcast at any time. All I have to do is click this button, it toggles my video on and off. Same thing with the audio. So that way, if a student is ever in a session with a tutor and there's feedback or there's any issues, they're able to turn this stuff on and off at will. Often too, what will happen is if a student is using one of the computers in the Learning Center, perhaps it's not equipped with audio, a microphone or a web camera, they'll be able to use the chat box down below to communicate. So We found that this is really helpful for students that may not have the most up-to-date equipment. They can still collaborate with the coach through this chat box, and then also, of course, through the whiteboard. The whiteboard is the area where they'll be able to write on the whiteboard. They can do things like upload documents. So if I wanted to upload a document, I could upload a document to send over to the tutor. I could also upload a document directly to the whiteboard. And then let's say, for example, I'm working on a writing assignment. I could upload that document directly to the whiteboard, draw on it, get feedback from the coach. They can go and like mark it up with a highlighter. So it's really helpful in terms of collaborating on documents is that ability to upload things to the whiteboard. Additionally, for tutoring sessions that are happening in, let's say, math or some of the sciences, you can do things like add a graphing component to the whiteboard, add different equations to the whiteboard, just so that you don't necessarily have to be that good at using the web pen or the web pencils on here. Especially if it's your first time using the whiteboard session, it may be easier just to type out equations or type out text versus actually going in and drawing it out with the pencil, even though it is pretty intuitive. And then the way that things work is at the end of the session, the coach will elect to end the session, and at that point in time, both the coach and the student will be prompted to complete a feedback form. So they're completing a feedback form on different pieces of information about the session. So the tutor will say, what did the student understand well? What did they not understand well? Where could they improve? And then what would you rate the student at a scale of 1 to 5 in terms of their understanding of this subject? And then additionally, the student has the opportunity to go in and rate the tutor. So they're able to put in a rating, leave feedback on why the tutor deserved that rating and what the tutor could potentially improve in as well. So that is essentially the front end from the student and tutor perspective. Again, things are integrated through email as well. So whenever whenever a tutor or a student goes in and does any of this information, you guys are able to go in and actually see the feedback that occurs. So what I'll do is let me actually go and log in as the coach real quick, and then that way you can see what the feedback form looks like. All right, so very similar to the student profile. This is actually one of the coach's profiles. Again, it does a time zone check. And then what I'll be able to do is once I enter a room, it's usually up to the coach to actually go in and complete the session. So once the session is complete with the student, they will click on this complete session button and actually go ahead and end the session. When they do that, the feedback form pops up. So in this example, the student and the tutor met in math. So this tutor met with a student. So we want the tutor to leave feedback on what they specifically focused on during the session. So for example, in math, we want them to say, okay, we worked on finding the equations of like a quadratic equation or factoring a quadratic formula, so that it gets really specific in terms of like what they actually worked on. Because down below, what we ask them is, what did the student understand well and what did the student not understand well? And this is all information that admins are able to access to view after the fact. Okay, what did the student understand well when it came to quadratic equations and what didn't they understand very well? So it's a good way for then other tutors or admins to follow up with students and say, okay, looks like here's some of the feedback from your last session. Let's talk about some of this and maybe structure the next session around some of those things that the student did not understand well during their last tutoring session. Okay, so let's see, there's a couple other things. Does the tutor enter session notes here? Yeah, so this is where the tutor would be able to enter notes about the student. Again, what they went over during the session, what the student understood well, what the student didn't understand well. The student will never see this feedback form, so they won't see the feedback that the coach leaves. So the coach can be as candid as possible on documenting the session, writing information about the student. Perhaps the student was acting out, or perhaps there are some other issues. They're able to write that information here without the student ever actually seeing what the tutor wrote about that student. And then let's see, and then another question around recording the session. So the way that the student can access the session is if they save the room ID, they can re-enter that room, but we're actually working on a system where we can begin recording more of the sessions for the students, because that has been a request that's came up recently, but we do not currently automatically sessions. Okay, and then what I just wanted to show you guys next real quick was what the admin dashboard looked like. So what the system looked like from your own perspective as an administrator. So let me go in. What I'll do is log into our demo account. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is the admin dashboard that you guys would see. So you're logging in, and you want to go in and see all the different information about each of the sessions from students, your coaches, the high-level view of the total hours purchased, how many have been used. So there's a couple really, I think, interesting things that you can do here. First off is at the top, you're able to see really the high-level view, again, of any hours that were purchased, how many sessions are being completed with some of your own tutors, how many sessions are being completed with Upswing tutors, and a breakdown of what those sessions look like. Additionally, there's a couple early alerts that we have on here. So one of the things that we track pretty closely with administrators is the number of what we call abandoned sessions. So these are sessions where a student schedules a session, but they don't actually show up for that session. So different schools have different limits on the number of abandoned sessions that they'll allow students to have before they suspend them from the system, or before they require them to actually come in and do an in-person, have an in-person conversation with one of the Learning Center admins. So it's really cool because you can start seeing students in there. You can actually click on their name, get directed to their profile if they're in there, so you can see which sessions they're actually scheduling and why they're having problems. You're also able to see things like the types of subjects that are being scheduled most often. So we have, again, just at a high level, what are the top 5 subjects. We also tell colleges what's the average student understanding rating. So what's the average rating that students are getting when they come in and seek help from a tutor. You can go in and see a completed session history. So most colleges would have much more activity, but because this is our demo account, there's not a ton. You can go in and do a custom time frame, reset the Zoom if you want to. Go in and look and see, okay, what is the trend been like over time for students coming in and doing tutoring sessions. And then kind of most importantly is down here at the bottom, being able to go in and actually see all the different sessions. So you as an administrator can go in and see all the sessions either online or in person on here. All this information is completely filterable. So if I wanted to just see a specific coach, I just type that coach's name into this filter. It filters out to only be that coach. Likewise, if I only wanted to see a certain subject as well, I can put another filter in there, only see the information that is related to that filter that I put in. And the best part is that you're able to go in and actually download this information. So it'll store the filters that you put on here, download it into a CSV, and then you can open up an Excel, do some of your own reporting too if you have certain types of reports that you want to run, or if there's different ways in which you want to chop up the data, feel free to do that at will. So that's been really helpful for, I think, a lot of our admins, is just having all this information in one place. Offline, online sessions. You're also able to see the check-ins. So I showed you the check-in and check-out feature earlier. Basically here you're able to see all the different students that are currently checked into your Learning Center. But let's say that one of them may have forgotten to actually check out. You can click the checkout button and automatically check them out. So it'll tell you here, okay, the student was in the session or in your Learning Center for 15 minutes, so that you can then begin to track what does the total foot traffic look like in your Learning Center. A couple other things, I'll try to make this quick. I know we're at about an hour and a half now total, but you're able to see things like the student summary. So if I want to see information about this student, click on them, you see things like the picture, you see all the sessions that this specific student has done. You're able to see feedback that the student has left on the coach, and also feedback that the coach has left on the student. If you want to go over to see the coach's profile quickly, you can just click on one of these hyperlinks down here in the sessions list, and it'll take you directly to that person's profile as well. You're also able to see all the information on your tutors also. Um, and then if you want to see all the feedback data, there's a feedback tab. Download the feedback data. It's really good because it gives you, I think, better insight into what actually went on during those tutoring sessions. Helps you know over time, are some tutors getting poor feedback from students, and why is that? Perhaps you want to reach out to some of your own tutors to tell them different ways in which they could connect with students, etc. So that's pretty much the majority from the admin dashboard. The last thing that I wanted to highlight was our feature request tab. So we like to work really like day in and day out with our Learning Center admins. So we really like it when they put a new request here, or if there's ever issues. We have someone 24/7 who's monitoring these new requests, and I think you'll find just by talking to some of our current partners that our turnaround time on a lot of these features is really quick. We're pretty agile when it comes to building new products or adding in new features, and so that's something that I think we kind of pride ourselves on, is being able to collect information from you guys quickly, build it out, and then get it out to you. Yeah, that's pretty much it as well from the admin perspective. I don't know if you guys have any questions. If you do, I'd love to take them now, and then if not, thank you again so much for attending. I hope this was helpful for you guys.